Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
You're dating Willie Lumpkin.
We've got Chris.
A little too much of the bubbly.
The bubbly! I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. I read that. I was hoping someone would mention the bubbly. Today we are reading the second half of Marvel 1602. Last time we read issues 1 through 4. This time we are reading issues 5 through 8 by Neil Gaiman, mid-2000s. Look, honestly, if you're just starting with this episode, that's a bad idea. Go back and watch that episode, because we're not going to do a ton of recap. There's so much to recap. It will take us forever.
It's a good thing it starts with a recap.
It does. Also, at the end of this episode, we are going to start Marvels. I guess continue Marvels. We did issue number 0 last time. We're going to continue on to issue number 1. Yeah, all right. On to the festivities. We got 1602 Part 2. Do we want to talk about last time at all? It was cool, lots of heroes. Recap.
So basically, if you are joining us for the first time, or it's been 2 weeks, or you're in a turkey coma because Thanksgiving just happened, the Marvel Universe started in the 1500s, 1600s instead of the 1940s, 1960s. So we've got everybody in like Elizabethan times. We got Nick Fury. He's like the head of intelligence. He's a spy master. We got Doctor Strange. He's Queen Elizabeth's like go-to doctor. The mutants are kind of cast out their witch breed, like Salem witch trials style. We've got Peter Parker. He's just a dude at this point. Peter Parquois. I'm sorry.
Matthew, he's a teen.
There were 4 people who piloted a ship, a boat ship called the Fantastic with a K, so it's old timey.
They've been missing.
Missing. There's a dude named Otto Von Doom. He's Otto the Handsome, not Victor Von Doom, but pretty much Doom.
And not Otto Octavius.
No. We've got, who else do we got going on? We've got
Daredevil.
Matt Murdock.
Matt Murdock. He just met an old man named Donald who's got a stick. We don't know what's going to come over this stick.
Yeah.
And then we've got
the Grand Inquisitor, Magneto.
Yeah, Enrique. And he's got 2 people that don't know they're his kids. One dude who runs really fast named Petros. Queen Elizabeth has just been killed, so James the First is going to be king. That part didn't happen in 60s comics. That part is actually real.
That's what keeps confusing me. I don't know what's real and what's not.
And the first colonist ever born in America, not the first American. Scratch that. That is an inaccurate statement.
The first English woman born in America.
That's correct. Virginia Dare. She's got a protector who's a white blonde dude named Rajas. We don't know who he is. He claims to be a Native American.
He has blonde hair.
He's very buff. It looks a little like Chris Evans. I don't know what's going to come of this, but we'll find out.
Let's see. I will say, so this recap that is presented to us by Neil Gaiman, it's a nice little recap, but it is important that it mentions, it confirms this is the Marvel Universe. It's just 400 years earlier and shit's showing up when it's not supposed to. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting kind of bomb to drop in the recap, because I don't know if I paid much attention to it originally.
Yeah, because they call it the 616 when they meet the Watcher, I think, in the next issue. And I'm like, that's bullshit. This ain't the 616. But I think we find out later it is, I guess.
I cannot verbalize it as 616. 616 just feels right to me. Okay. How do you say it, Chris?
Yeah, 616. And if anything, this would be the 1616.
Whoa.
I think, Kia, did Secret Wars go into what its true universe designation is? I have to imagine Hickman did.
I don't remember. I don't remember that at all. I really don't think so. You mean the more recent Secret Wars with all the... Right. Yeah. I don't think they went into all the different numbers, because...
I feel like Hickman had to have, though. Hickman probably had some schematics on a page afterwards.
Probably.
Yeah. Letters page has a full page diagram explaining what universe everything is.
With that same graphic infographic style he always uses, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, okay, so let's continue our story.
I do like Neil Gaiman's got his early 2000s cool guy. If you're a cool author, you're definitely wearing a black leather coat with sunglasses. If you're J.D. Robb or you're Neil Gaiman, you're wearing this look.
J.D. Robb. What a reference.
Kia, do you remember? I know you used to work at Borders, and was it Nora Roberts and J.D. Robber the same
they're
writer?
the same person, but Nora Roberts was like the romance writer, and J.D. Robb was like her mystery writer persona. And my favorite is that they co-wrote a book together, and they were both on the back cover. It was the stupidest thing. All right. So anyways, the authors are stupid. Neil Gaiman is doing his stupid author thing where he's like, hey, I'm cool, I'm the author. No, he's fine. All right, let's get into this story. Why are we talking about J.D. Robb? My God. Okay, so
that's our differentiator. That's what makes us.
That's what makes the unique, the discerning listeners podcast of choice. Okay, so Nick Fury is attacking the X-Men. What? Why would he do such a thing? He was ordered to, right? Because King James is an idiot and is like, nah, let's go attack the witch breed.
Or King James is an opportunist and sees, I'll just use this to attack my enemies under the purview of, oh, they must have killed Elizabeth even though I didn't. I know they didn't. Which I think that's his real game, because he's not that stupid, is he?
No, yeah, he just wants to get rid of and he wants to potentially have an alliance with Spain at the expense of the Protestants.
Carlos Javier.
Yeah, basically, if anyone at this point is like a historical figure that's left in the comic, they're basically a bad guy, right? As far as we're concerned.
I mean, Virginia Dare, not really. I mean,
okay, sure, except Virginia Dare. So everyone's hanging out with the X-Men. Nick Fury is like, hey, I'm not going to fight y'all. We're going to be friends instead. And Stephen Strange shows up eventually. Oh, I'm kind of jumping all around here. On the battlefield, like before they attack, Doctor Strange is like talking to him in his spectral form. It's like, what is this? This is craziness. Quicksilver is running messages between Magneto and Toad. Who was Toad in this? What was his role?
Yeah, he was he worked for the Vatican.
Yeah, I saw like some churchy stuff, and I didn't know what was going on.
So basically, all the Brotherhood were Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And he mentions that guy Tom, the Pope is wondering what happened to that guy who disappeared a few issues ago. And Enrique's like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
I feel like you could really easily, I don't know. I mean, it's a long distance. He was on a wagon. He could have died any time between here and there. He got lost. I don't know.
He could have just hit his head on a big rock. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
We've got Doctor Doom. He's captured Donal, and he is... yes, and he is questioning him, hey, where's this weapon of yours that you've been transporting? Is it this orb? Hey, how do you get into this orb? And he's trying to dissect this orb, see what kind of energy it responds to. This old man, he's in his cell with Daredevil, and he's like, hey, this crystal ball shit, that's got nothing to do with it, man. It's just a stick.
I think that's a really cute fake out, because the whole previous page is trying to demonstrate how much of a man of science Otto von Doom is. He's like, I tried to do this and I tried to use these chemicals and I'm trying to break into this. What thing is in this? What could it possibly be? And here's all my different scientific methods for getting through it. And then the next page that was all bullshit. That's just try to trick him, because actually the real prize is some other bullshit that he hasn't seen.
It's just a stick that turns into a hammer.
Yeah. I said he was talking to Daredevil. I was wrong. Doctor Strange shows up in spectral form in his cell to kind of talk to him, and that's when we learn all about this. I was excited to see Daredevil. I was like, oh yeah, he's here in the cell. He's going to help this old man escape. He doesn't really do much else other than that, though. I think for us, Daredevil was really the star of the first half, and he kind of takes a back seat here at this point. There's not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, the pacing is kind of interesting for these two issues, because there's not much of Rojas, and there's not much of Daredevil or Peter. They kind of all disappear, and Black Widow pretty much just disappears from this book.
And Peter keeps showing up everywhere, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't follow where you are, Peter. How are you getting there? Black Widow is in Doctor Doom's bed. What? Oh my God, I can't believe
she's the most dangerous. Yeah, she's the most dangerous woman in Europe.
Whoa. But that's kind of the extent of what we hear from her side of the story. We don't see much else for her.
Yeah, just at the end of Doom's story, which is the end of what?
Oh,
issue
yeah,
6 or 5?
Yes. Clea is talking to Virginia about the Fantastic Four, or the crew of the Fantastic, and how they, like, there's rumors about how they turned into these heroes and they're going around the world saving people from monsters, and they would send messages home, but then those messages stopped and they were assumed dead. Yeah. So I guess we'll never see the Fantastic Four in this universe.
Well, I mean, the earlier pages, Doom is talking to somebody, and it's heavily hinted that it's Reed, or Reed's like a disembodied voice or something. So there are some hints that the Fantastic Four may be around. Fun fact, I had read this. I was like, I don't remember the Fantastic Four being in this before.
We talked about it in the first episode. I said, yeah, the Fantastic Four aren't in this because I thought they were, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I think I completely forgot them.
I've read this twice. I completely forgot.
Yeah. But you know why? It's because, well, I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. Yeah, sorry.
But I do like the art style. I like how, like, wispy, Invisible Woman's art is in this storytelling of their past. Like, it's a fun, like, update of their origin, with keeping, like, with the times of, like, the 1600s, but also not, like, going in. And a lot of this book is really not going into, like, the 60s, like, futurism, sci-fi kind of stuff, but, like, applying, like, the ideas of that times, like, towards magic, but still applying it. It really works really well, like how well Gaiman and Kubert recontextualize this.
Yeah, Gaiman is a good author.
It does make me wonder, what would Ant-Man and Wasp be in the 1602 universe?
And Iron Man also.
Yeah, Iron Man also not in this at all.
Anyway, we'll think about that afterwards. We'll cast.
Still never. It's weird that he never showed up. Like, considering all the classic Avengers did show up, but, like, super late.
Yeah, that's 3 founding Avengers that aren't there at all.
Yep. So Doctor Strange and Nick Fury and Professor Javier. Oh, he's not really Professor Javier. They're holding their conspiracy meeting, and it's like, listen, if we do this, we're gonna be traitors to the crown. You good with that? And Nick Fury is like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Doctor Strange tells him, listen, Daredevil and that weapon and the Fantastic Four are all being held captive by Doom right now. We gotta go. And he's like, what? Oh my God, Reed Richards is the most important thing to me. Of course I'm in. And I don't know where that came from a little bit. Did we have any foreshadowing about how Reed Richards was, like, so important to him?
No. Not really.
He was a smart dude in England. Nick Fury knew everybody. He was my friend.
That's true. That's true. He is this. It does seem like a famous guy, this Reed Richards. All right, so they're like, you need to give us your best ship, and they go on, like, a prison ship, and they blast away. And Jean and Professor J, they are using their mind powers to, like, fly the ship through the air. That's kind of the end of issue 5. But Doctor Strange passes out in the process. What's going on? Why did Doctor Strange pass out?
And we've got a sibling of a dude in shadows. We've got a lady's feet. So, who is
shadows?
It? Yeah, what kind of a shadow? She's just cut off, so all you see is her feet, and he's fainted. And she's like, ha 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 ha.
You can't tell that that's a lady's feet.
Is that the Watcher, actually?
It is the Watcher, yeah.
Okay. kind of had a heel, so my bad.
Yeah, I was like, who would that be? I can't even think of what character you're talking about.
You know, I don't know. Have we learned Uatu's gender? Do we know his preferred? I call him a he because it's like a big bald baby looking dude. But maybe we got it all wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, but I do. Anyways, again, I do like that. Like the X-Men are using their, like, powers to propel this ship, like, through the sky. Yeah. I think that's a really cool, like use of powers that I haven't seen. Well, I think it's really fun. So it's stupid and it's
here's
fun.
What I'm also going to say. Like, this world is so kind of powerless to start, and seeing everything kind of, not just these characters show their powers more and more, but, like, it kind of starts to just feel like a more magical world as you get through this whole book. And especially by the end, when, spoiler alert, when the Fantastic Four shows up, and, like, every panel with Reed Richards, he's stretching in this, like, crazy way that doesn't necessarily add anything to the story, but it does just make it feel like this whole thing has sort of ramped up into Crazy Town, and now we're just, like, full on Marvel Universe here.
Okay. I totally agree with you, but I will produced like two things. One, Game of Thrones. I liked when it didn't like have magic at all, and like magic was on the periphery. And then it got more and more pronounced. But two, like fucking the Marvel Cinematic Universe went from in 10 years from like Iron Man to Iron Man driving a ship with an alien and a talking raccoon. Like it ramped up. Also, the MCU ramped up.
That's true. That's true.
So, once we're here, once this crazy started.
That's really the point of the story, is that like all this craziness is happening and it's not really supposed to be happening.
Yeah, it just like keeps escalating.
Once the Forerunner shows up, and this is a good parallel. Yeah, and this is oh man, did the Fantastic Four ever have like a boat or a car named the Forerunner? I feel like they should have.
They had the Fantastic Car.
Just the Fantastic Car.
Forerunner. They should have all been like little hamster wheels all spinning. That would have been cool. You give me Fantastic Four, that'll be on there.
I think the Forerunner would be like a Jeep or something.
Like a big ATV?
Yeah, all-terrain, yeah.
But no, so now I'm thinking maybe this is why every Fantastic Four franchise has never been successful, just because they don't got Reed stretching like crazy constantly like a damn cartoon. He's always just like serious scientist who sometimes will stretch.
It's more of a Plastic Man move, isn't it?
What is?
His art. The art of Reed in this book looks more like Plastic Man, where he's just like, ooh, I'm wacky.
I think Reed is at his best when his art is wacky and his mind is serious. I think that's like a perfect.
Yeah. And like I've always felt that way. I'm just like, even if he's like a super serious scientist, like it just makes sense. Like if you're gonna have like a bunch of things going in your lab, like why are you gonna be like 6 feet tall regular guy when you can be like 30-foot long guy who can like supervise a bunch of different projects at once? Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you have stretchy powers, use them.
Yeah, grab shit from 30 feet away across the lab.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could be like Cold Dessous, like not even paying attention or just like grabbing shit and not paying attention, which works well for his character. Yeah, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Classic. You could be like have one arm around Sue as she's like watching TV with her kids, and then also be like working in the lab. That's the kind of stuff you can do when you're Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. All right. I think we got a little off track here, but that's okay.
Anyway,
Reed technically isn't even in this comic yet, and we just like talked about him for 15 minutes. Great. So Doctor Strange is on the moon with the Watcher, who will never ever interfere with human matters ever.
But it's like, if you were dead, I could tell you more.
Yeah. He basically sort of reveals everything to Doctor Strange, but he can't say anything about it. What's up with that? Like I don't know. For whatever reason, Doctor Strange can't actually speak about this stuff. It's like in his head, but it's he knows all about this Forerunner. He knows what's going on, but he's just kind of like his little baby magic brain still can't handle all this right now. Mm-hmm. And from this point forward, he does start to go mad a little bit. What else do we have? We get a big old scene with the X-Men attacking. Who are they attacking? Spain?
Yeah, aren't they attacking Doom?
Yeah, Doom attacks them, and they're fighting his vultures.
They're attacking Latveria and Auto Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, Auto Doom. Interesting. I was thinking Auto like Auto, but also Auto like Auto. Weird. Great.
Yeah, but this I think confirms like it wasn't just the Vulture. It's like a whole series of henchmen with vultures.
Yeah.
That Doctor Doom admits to like he's been growing them and like reproducing these things. That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
We've got
Black Widow accidentally breaks the container holding the Invisible Woman, and then some cloud thing calls her a whore.
Yeah, I do like that while Daredevil and Donald are escaping, we get these little tiny glimpses of the Fantastic Four starting to escape as well.
I really like the idea of Johnny Storm like powering the heat in Doom's castle. Like that's a cool little touch.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a spa that he was heating because it looks very spa-like sitting on that rock in the middle of a waterfall.
I like to think he was the water heater. And Doom was like advanced enough to have like hot water pipes in his castle.
That makes sense. Dr. Doom is a smart dude.
But I think when we were talking about last arc, or the first part of this, we were saying if you weren't familiar with the Marvel universe, but you still were into intrigue or Elizabethan intrigue, in the War of the Roses, you'd be into this.
Yeah,
I feel like you have to have some understanding of who the Fantastic Four are going into this, at least their power set.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there's a lot of stuff, especially as you get deeper into this comic, and it connects back to the regular Marvel universe. It's wait a minute, now why is this old man turning into Thor? Okay, yeah, we got the movies nowadays, but back then I think you would have had to have had.
And I mean, it still is a pretty evergreen book. I'm sorry, I'm getting conclusions, but it's still pretty evergreen in how it explains its powers. But I don't think I think you have to have some type of primer before you can go into this cold if you weren't familiar.
It's for the fans.
Yeah,
it's a book for the fans.
For the fans.
What else do we got here? Doom's face gets badly scarred in this fight.
He kind of gets killed in this, and then it just turns out he's scarred.
Yeah, everyone thinks he's dead.
Does he get zapped by lightning? Is that what happens?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, because he's all excited because he's I don't actually need the Fantastic Four anymore because I got the big thing, which is the lightning, and that's the big power I need because I'm Doom, and Doom gonna steal his powers, and that's the one he wants. And then right afterwards, zapped by lightning and then killed, quote unquote killed.
Yeah, I really like this battle sequence. I think Gaiman does a really good job of just kind of pointing at everybody and saying where they are. Scott is being carried around by Angel, and they've got their own little thing going on with Jean, where Scott thinks that Angel is in love with Jean, and Scott doesn't realize that Angel doesn't know it's a woman. But later it's I was in love with that little boy. I was whoa, weird, dude. And it's the first time Scott has ever heard anything like that in his life, and they never touch on it again.
Yeah.
So there, I kind of jumped through a few issues worth of storylines with that, but Scott and Angel are having their little thing going. We've got Beast and Iceman. It starts raining. Why does it start raining? Oh, because Thor shows up.
I was gonna say, did we mention Thor's there?
Yeah, Thor's there now with the old man who turned into the guy. You've heard of Thor. You know how in the movies he's always an old man who turns into a Norse god, right? What else is there? We've got Natasha who finds Doom's scarred face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jean is currently still trying to fly this whole ship. They talk about how they don't have the power to get it off the ground again if they stop. So Jean Grey and Professor J have not stopped working. They've just been awake for this whole trip to Latveria. Wow, tough people. Good for them. I also don't understand why was this. We talked about it last time. What is this secret about Jean Grey? Why did she have to pretend to be a boy? Especially when apparently nobody on the team believed that anyone would believe this person was a boy. They're just yeah, she's a boy. Listen, don't blow our cover. But they just skip that part. I don't know. Did that feel weird to y'all? No?
I mean, the whole thing about he's a boy and stuff is, I think, kind of bullshit. I'm just why is this there? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's just a classic, medieval story trope. But yeah, I don't really know. It's in a bunch of Shakespeare stories.
I still think we said this though. I still think it needed to be a boy playing a girl for it to make sense. If we're talking Shakespeare era,
or just not the most it could have been Rogue or somebody like that, where it was pretending to be Peter or something where it wasn't it's Jean Grey. We know who this is. It was kind of silly to even, pretend we don't know. So yeah, it's just kind of this weird, and it is very Shakespearean because we all know as readers, why are you acting like that's a boy? And Shakespeare's the same way, where it's just the whole time that it's a girl. And meanwhile, the main character is is this a boy? Why am I so attracted to them?
The whole thing feels weird, and also because, as you explained, I don't think classically people know Angel that well, or know that Angel had a love triangle with him, Cyclops, and Jean Grey to begin with. So it just feels why is Angel here, and why is he Is he in the Jean Grey? I don't know. I don't care. Like, if it was Wolverine, like, it might make more sense. But again, we're based on the era. We're not doing like 70s X-Men. We're doing 60s.
Well, it's
X-Men.
also a whole storyline that is just to show that Scott Summers is a bit of a shithead, and he's just like instantly jealous of anybody who talks to his girl.
And it makes him less sympathetic. Also, like like instantly, like he's like the least likable good guy in this book.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah,
What's his name? Scott Summerdale. What's his name?
Yeah, Summersile.
Summersile. There we go. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, well, I guess he's from that island that they did the God, what's that movie? The Wicker Man. So he must be one of those people. And then,
oh my God, Nicolas Cage as Cyclops. That'd be a damn good role for him. Great.
Yeah. Also, at the end of the same issue where Doctor Doom gets hit in the face, you've got Quicksilver runs back and he's like, "Hey, I just saw Doctor Doom lost, and can I not run back and forth across Europe for like 5 minutes? I'm getting tired of this." And then the Vatican's there and he's like, "Well, you heard him. He admits he's a mutant." So they're gonna kill Magneto and his friends.
Oh no! All right. Next issue 7. Lots of stuff going crazy. Doctor Strange is really losing his mind. He's talking about everything that's been going on with him. Magneto, of course, escapes because he's got magnet powers, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why he did like all this like bullshit. Like took like 3 or 4 pages to get to this point. Like we didn't know. Like he's wrapped up with metal chains, and he's like, you're going to die. Magneto's like, well, can you please bring me my stuff? Was it just so he could have his stuff like there, so he didn't have to like go down the hall like after he murdered everybody?
Yeah, he's got to make a big show of it. That's Magneto. Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to go like fishing around for my helmet. I want you to bring it to me.
All right. What else is going on? Everybody's on this boat. We do see the Fantastic Four now. They're just like hanging out. It's again, everyone's talking a little bit more freely, and Reed Richards has all these ideas, and Doctor Strange has all these ideas, and again, you kind of see everything starting to come together a little bit.
Oh, I'll also note, historical note, Bobby Drake is now officially the nephew of Sir Francis Drake.
Oh, That's cool. Good for him. We got Virginia Dare, and
she's like, she's like, "Are you gonna give me money, James? Are you gonna give America money?" That's where he showed up. I was like, "Fuck no!" And she's like, "Okay, well then I guess I'm gonna have to go back to my dad and tell him you're not gonna give us any money." And he's like, "Actually, I'm gonna keep you." And Rogers, how about you I'm gonna marry you to a wealthy Scottish woman, which is like some weird form of like human trafficking in my head. But I'm like, okay, well, all right. Yeah, like James is a dick. That's what we've established here. Not a good king.
Yeah. He also said, like, I'm sure some Scottish woman will be able to tame you. Like, I don't know, are Scottish women stereotypically, like, big and tough?
I don't know. I have not watched that much Outlander. My wife watches that in the books, but I haven't really.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
This does have an Outlander sort of feel to it, yeah.
Oh, that even has time travel in it.
Yeah.
Outlander's a little more sexy than this, but
sure.
Just a skosh.
We've got Jean Grey, who overexerted herself, and she's dead.
Or is she?
No,
she you see Big Phoenix when they like are burning.
They burn her, yeah, and they mention it. Of course, it's like great. All right, a Phoenix, that's cool. Yeah. I do really like what Reed says when he's talking about we gotta understand the fundamental principles of this universe here. What's going on? It definitely favors stories. There's no true endings, only continuances. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great of course Reed Richards would discover that that's how comic books work. Their stories could never end. Great.
It seems that my mailman is very important to the continuity of this world.
I am a prestigious British writer that came up in the 80s and 90s, so of course now the nature of stories has invaded my comic book.
Yes. And also, of course, Stan Lee played that mailman in the Fantastic Four movie, the first one.
Of course.
Who almost, we'll get to it in Marvels. He has quite a big part.
Yes. So anyway, what else happens? I guess we should just skip to the big twist of issue 7.
Well, we did mention Doctor Strange is decapitated.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he gets decapitated.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we lost Jean Grey. Like everybody's dying now. It's issue 7 of 8. Strange is
Peter
dead.
Parker almost gets executed as well. He's like, "Are you a traitor? You've been working with those other traitors. I know you're a traitor." And he's like, "Oh no, sir, I'm no traitor."
Well, that's more the next issue.
Sure,
right,
sure.
but that is in this issue. He does get paired up with his new boss because they're like, "Well, Fury's no good. So I'm sending you to America."
Yeah. And Doctor Strange is like the forerunner. That's what's been causing this. We got to send it back to America. It showed up 15 years ago. So everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's Virginia Dare, right? She's the forerunner. 15-year-old girl.
He tells Clea, his wife.
Yes. Because they're talking. Yeah, okay. So
as a
Doctor
ghost,
Strange is decapitated, but he's still like around.
But there was a twist where he's like, I couldn't say it if I was alive, but now that I'm dead, I can tell you everything. And I got a very much like an Avengers Infinity War kind of vibe. It's like, no, I gotta die because that's the only way we're gonna like get through this plan. Like Strange has this like weird sacrifice to like help the plan go along.
Yeah.
Very cryptic.
And it's very like, I am not a big Doctor Strange fan, but it's a very good like use of his character of sort of lateral thinking of like, but what if I was dead? You know, most characters wouldn't. They'd be like, well, obviously that wouldn't work. But Doctor Strange is like, well, maybe.
Maybe. So the big reveal of the whole book, we get Clea, who is on the ship to America with Rojaz and Virginia. And she's like, listen, I know all about this Forerunner business. Time to like fix everything ever since you showed up. And Virginia's like, what are you talking about? Like, nope, it's Rojaz. And
he has like wink and a smile, and it's like, well, no,
yeah, like, well, if you put it that way, it's a fun little moment of him just kind of breaking the whole Native American thing he's adopted.
And again, I will establish the first time I read it, I did not see this coming.
Me neither.
And I was like, what the fuck is this all about? Why is Rogers not talking like he had been talking for the whole previous 7 issues? And I'm like, what is this bullshit?
I feel like this was revealed in the second issue when he threw his shield.
Yeah. Fun fact, not very observant.
I didn't get it either. It's okay. So we get the whole origin story, in the second issue, where it confirms that this is our regular 616 Steve Rogers. Went through his whole life. He found that as all the other heroes kept on aging, he didn't age because of the super serum. And we see like Daredevil and Spider-Man in handcuffs, and the world's kind of going to shit.
So past the Marvel universe.
Yeah, keep going. Right. Purple Man is the president for life because life matters. Ooh, man.
Yeah, that was Purple Man.
Yeah, he was purple, Vince. That was the first.
Oh, I thought it was just like the weird printing on the posters. Okay,
it is Purple Man.
I like very specifically remember it being Purple Man, and for whatever reason, like they didn't name him in this, but yeah. But then I was thinking, like, well, wait a minute. Everybody else aged away and died, but Purple Man is still alive? Like, what? Okay.
That's because David Tennant and Neil Gaiman are really good friends 10 years later.
David Tennant is a Time Lord. Duh. Come on.
Of course.
Then they would make Good Omens 15 years later. This all checks out.
Yeah, makes sense.
I didn't realize that. So, yeah, but it's like later Marvel Universe. And then, so they caught him being a traitor, and then they sent Captain America back in time. Was that their plan?
I guess so. Like they wanted to completely eliminate him in a way that no one would ever. I don't know what their plan was, but yeah, they send him back in time.
That's dumb. You kick the can down the road, not further up the road.
I mean, again, sorry to spoil Death of Captain America from 12 years ago, but he did the same thing. They sent him back in time instead of just killing him.
Yeah. You either kill him or you throw him like 600 years in the future so he's not your problem and not your kid's problem.
Yeah.
Like, duh.
So we see how he shows up in this world, a little groggy, and he makes friends with the Native Americans, and he's like, oh, I'm a Native American, but from over there. And they're like, oh, okay, cool.
he's like, they thought I was Native American, and in a way, I guess they were right. It's like, okay.
I mean, I do like the idea that he like represents like America, and I think that that's like
Right.
like that's a smart idea. I think there were different ways they could have done this without like doing it this way, but I like what they were going for. I don't like the execution, but also
it has a very like, let's make Native Americans more important by letting a white person represent them, which like I get, it does make like, I see what you're trying to do, but yeah.
Well, and like, I know that Gaiman only wanted to have the like Silver Age characters, but like just have a Logan character be like a Native American, like an actual Native American. And I think that would go a long way. Like if he just had another Native American character that was, Warpath or Thunderbird, or like I said, even Logan, who's Canadian. He could be like a French Native American, like the children of, or a child of a French trapper and a Native American person, and just be like, oh, okay, there's at least one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting word that Neil Gaiman is going to go back and do some rewrites on this. And
Good.
add in another Native. And who's playing the other Native American? Tony Stark. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
No way. Well,
We got to get Amanda Palmer out of the writers' room.
So,
All right.
so I also have a question, just like historically. I think that they referenced in this book that because Rogers was there, the Roanoke colony didn't disappear. Did I read that accurately?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, Virginia Dare presumed dead because she was part of the lost colony.
Okay. So that's what threw this off, because they were supposed to die. Okay.
Or at least be taken in.
Yeah.
This sounds interesting.
And become ghosts.
What issues was this Roanoke colony you said?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read those issues of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, it was the Rawhide Kid in the Roanoke colony. It was a pretty good
Nice.
Marvel 1977. It was pretty good.
All right. So what else is going on?
Well, I do
Peter,
like that
go ahead.
three ships are all converging on Roanoke, and I like how this book like illuminates the fact that like all the plot lines are coming here. So like Enrique's coming here, Magneto's coming, is Fury coming? Fury and the Fantastic Four are coming, and then Peter's coming also.
Mm-hmm. Peter's coming to kill Fury. What?
No, Fury's already landed, hasn't he?
Yeah, there's a third ship that, what do they mention? Somebody is talking about everyone who's coming, and they mention all the three ships. And one of them, they kind of allude to, it's like a mystery. I'm trying to find it. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I couldn't figure out who they were talking about.
But either way, like everything's converging now on Roanoke, so they are in the New World. So I just said this whole story took place not in America. I was wrong again.
It does. It all takes place in America now. We've got so Peter does have a chance to kill Nick Fury. They show up, and Nick Fury gives him like this, you're gonna fucking do it, boy. I'm blah blah blah. This is who I am. This is the kind of person I am. Is this the kind of person you are? And Peter runs away instead of killing Nick Fury. Good for you, Peter.
Although Fury did like murder all of James's ship, didn't he?
Pretty much.
They came to kill him.
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough stuff.
And James is plotting like, ooh, well, now that I've got this also claim, I could probably take Ireland as well. And then I was like, oh, that's an interesting historical concept. And I bet there's probably historians that are like, why didn't James take Ireland? And in this universe, Matt Murdock said, I will murder you. I can murder you any chance I want. So don't fuck up. And if you do, and if you try to take Ireland, I will fucking murder you. And I'm like, yeah. And that's why he never took Ireland historically. Everybody knows this. I love it. It's stupid. Mm-hmm. I love it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how historically accurate that is, but it seems to check
It's 100%. 100%. Nick Fury does end up like a bunch of other stuff happens with everybody else, but I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of an ending to their story necessarily. It's just like, okay, we're here now. But Nick Fury does run into Captain America, and it's like, hey, you can trust me. Like, think of the Nick Fury that you know from your time. Could you trust him?
Well, more so, they're like, okay, we've got all the pieces of the puzzle. Like, we're going to use Magneto to do something with the portal. Yeah. And we've got these 4 different things we got. So everybody's going to use their powers. And like, well, where the fuck is Steve Rogers? And I'm like, yeah, where is Steve Rogers? Why did he, like, he knew this was important. Why is he, like, not hanging out, like at least like going to the bathroom or something. At the very least, I'm like, where is he? And he's like, I don't like this. I don't like this characterization that Roger's like, I'm not leaving. I didn't like my future. I'm not leaving. I didn't like
I feel like I just needed more build up to like this portal thing that they needed to all do together. Like it just kind of came out of nowhere for me. I was like, wait, whoa, what? Okay, cool.
There's a lot going on in this issue. It's almost double length. It's like 37 pages.
I think that's what it was. I was reading it and I was like, all right, I thought it was going to be done by now. So I stopped paying attention. That's my rule. If I think I'm going to be done, I stop paying attention.
Yeah, read 22 pages and you're like, this is the end of a normal size comic.
Yep. Now we're doing a run over here. What's going on?
But I don't like that like Fury had to carry him over the border. Like it just doesn't sit right with me for Captain America. And this is very much like me as like a 10-year-old nerd. Like Captain America's a hero, he wouldn't do this. But
I also feel like if Captain America knew that that's what he had to do to fix everything, he would have just done it. You know?
Right.
And yeah,
I don't feel like it feels like a cheat that like I can see him being disillusioned and I can see him being like disappointed, but I can't. I see him triumphing over that for himself, and not somebody else just doing it for him. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. But now this doesn't answer a question of like, wait a minute. Now, according to this, the Marvel Universe as we know it is headed to this path with the Purple Man, and what's stopping that? Nothing. We're back on track.
Stories in perpetuity. But, well, the thing is, the Watchers weren't as concerned about that. They were concerned about the fabric of time being ripped apart.
Right. So,
not like normal time traveling, they said. This was a different type of time travel that was like a little more fucked up. And that's, I guess, probably because Steve Rogers is this forerunner that then kicks off an age of heroes that then 15 years later really gets going. I think that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Watcher is in big trouble because some like Watcher who in the hierarchy is above him shows up and it's like, what? You were not supposed to interact with the world, but you did, and you did a good job of it, so we're going to reward you? What? Okay, cool. Like, the Watchers as a race are really fucked up. I think they are purposefully like hiring people who will interfere, and then they tell them not to interfere, so that when they do interfere, it's like a big deal. Because it's like, I know this guy's gonna jump in when the time's right. And they reward him with this 1602 universe that can live inside of him. So it's like, it's nice as a reader. We're like, okay, this universe will never die. We'll get to keep going. We'll get to keep seeing the stories. It's it's neat. It's like he wrote the retcon into the end of his own story, so that if somebody else wants to keep going, they just can. Okay. And I'm into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with it.
Yeah. I like, too, that after all this happens, Clea is like, well, Doctor Strange's head stopped talking to me, so I've got to go, guys. And she just opens a door to, like, a Steve Ditko world that's all, it looks, like, drawn and not in the same style. And it's like, well, gotta go, and just leaves.
Yeah, it looks so much like some of that old Ditko stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if it is just like a reproduction of one of those pages, like shrunk down or something. That's how much it looks like. It's so bizarre, and I love it.
Which, for our readers that, or for our listeners that aren't familiar, Clea is, from another dimension. She's just, Steve's girlfriend, who he found, but she's related to Dormammu from the movies.
Really? Okay, I did not know that either. That's interesting.
I don't. Did I know that? Jeez, I don't know. Another dimension. Great. And afterwards, so this world like kind of dissolved when Steve went through the portal, but now that it's back to life, it like reforms, and everyone's like, "Hey, look, everything's just going to continue like normal. That's cool." Somebody turns into the Hulk. Is that King James?
No, that's Banner.
I don't remember if they actually explicitly say what Banner's job is. If he's like his head executioner or something.
With Fury, yeah, because he's going to kill Fury.
I don't remember seeing
being
that
a traitor.
They mention Banner, but he never hulks out until he's just big at the very end. I don't think they ever show him like actually hulking out.
Yeah, that was I'm glad he was in there. Still no Tony Stark, but that's okay. Maybe Tony Stark is like currently captured in Afghanistan or something.
There's no Tony Stark. There's no and there's no Ant-Man and Wasp.
Hank Pym, yeah.
But otherwise, everybody else is there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're somewhere. All right. So what else? And Peter and Virginia are hanging out, and Virginia says, "Hey, you can come stay with me and my dad." And then a spider bites him. Boom! Finally,
Cute.
Peter.
And it's glowing.
You got bit by a glowing spider. Now, wait a minute. Why was the spider glowing here? I don't know. Whatever.
I assume because of the same thing that turned Banner into Hulk, the residual radiation of sending Rogers through the portal.
Yep.
I explained that pretty well, huh?
I was just gonna say it was an Alchemax spider that came through the multiverse rift. Is the Alchemax? I think in Into the Spider-Verse that Alchemax spider isn't even from their universe. I don't think it's from Miles's universe.
I think it was from another universe.
I know the Alchemax Corporation is Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, that's right.
They're most famous.
Well, I mean, Alchemax is now in Marvel proper now, but it's
because Spider-Man 2099 was set in present day, and he worked for the predecessor for Liz.
Allen's, Allen Chemical.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, but we're getting we're off on a tangent.
Let's talk about Marvels.
I mean,
you're jumping to 2099. My God, our listeners are going to be so confused.
I mean, I like this book. I still think it's really good. I think the first half was a little better. I think it abandoned some plot lines, but it's fun to hang out with this world and see how everything is kind of like extrapolated out. I like it. I like it. I think the art's really good. It's fun to hang out with these characters. I like it a lot.
Yeah. And I feel like it has a few too many characters because at the end when they're all just hanging out, you're kind of like, okay, well, there's too many of you at this point.
And we're like, where's Tony Stark?
All the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Brotherhood, and they're all just like, what are we going to do in America? Like, I don't know. Like, I felt like there was either too much or not enough at that point. But all the, like, Doctor Strange, Nick Fury, like, Cloak and Dagger stuff was really cool. Like, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
My only question is are there always just like a Stephen Strange and a Nicholas Fury just like hanging out and they're not kicked off if Captain America doesn't show up? like are we to believe that there were all these people with these names hanging out 400 years earlier and they just wouldn't have kicked off the Marvel universe had Rogers not shown up?
They're pretty common names, Vince.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Stephen Strange is a very common name.
Yes.
I can't even tell you how many different.
You look it up. There's like 2 pages in the notebook in the phone book in New York City that are all just Stephen Strange.
Yeah, in my
and
phone,
in the village of Greenwich.
Stephen Stranges. Yeah, and I have to organize them by what color shirt they usually wear.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, I also really liked it.
I would read more.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to read more by other authors because I do think this is like a tough puzzle to like fit in of like how are we going to make sure all these people fit into the universe and like sure some people got left behind and weren't part of the main story, but it did do a really good job of just kind of mapping these people into this time, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. I don't know if I want Luke Cage and Iron Fist 1602. I feel like that's gonna have some problems.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. Gaiman obviously didn't write the sequels. And I my big question is tying it into like actual Marvel, like a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it was a good idea for this, in the same way that like the first Star Trek movie did it in a way that I liked. I know that maybe not everybody did, but I enjoyed that. And I just like creating a new property by having it spin off of the original is a fun first story. And then you can go and keep telling other stories.
As opposed to just like a pure Elseworlds.
Sure, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with a pure Elseworlds necessarily, but I don't know. I like seeing why stuff exists. That's all.
All right.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to always call him Steve Rojaz from now on because that's a better name. All right. I think we're done with 1602. Are we on to Marvels now?
Sure.
Great. So we read issue number...
Yeah,
what's that?
No, continue. Sorry.
We read issue number 0 last time, and I guess we probably didn't really have to because so much of the stuff from issue 0 is like kind of retold here in issue number 1. So this is all set in the 30s, right? It's 1939.
Yes.
And it is...
Well, it starts in 39, and it probably ends around 43, 44.
Yeah, it goes to at least the war. The Americans.
Well, and obviously
joining.
Captain America's first appearance.
41.
Yeah, and a little bit of 42, I think, is the issue. Yeah, they map out time wise with actually like how issues were published, or like timeline wise, if that makes sense.
Okay, it does. So we follow the story of what's this guy's name? Phil Sheldon. Is that his name?
Yes.
Yes.
He's a budding young photographer. He's got a fiance. He's ready to take the world by storm. He wants to go to Europe and cover the war over there.
He's got a buddy who wants to like head up the Daily Bugle. That
I love that guy. Oh, that guy's perfect.
Well, it's supposed to be Jameson, but the editors apparently wouldn't let it be Jameson.
Really?
Because they were like, well, Jameson wouldn't be that young, and he's like, Jameson has been forced out of retirement because like Busiek, I think, argued with the editors like Jameson in 1990 through 95 when they were making this. It's like Jameson is probably 70 at this point. Which means like 50 years ago, he would have been like a young early 20s reporter. Like this math makes sense. And Marvel's like, don't name him. So they never explicitly say that he's Jameson, and he doesn't even have his mustache, but Ross did like
you just know
it absolutely is Jameson.
Yeah.
And he
with
paints
his
him
haircut and smoking a cigarette in every scene. You're like, who could this be?
And like there's an intensity to his eyes that Alex Ross paints as well. Like Alex Ross's faces in this are so good and so distinct. Like there's some young friend of his in a car at one point. He's just like this young, scrappy little lad. And it's just like this guy's energy instantly gives you everything you need to know. It's so, Alex Ross is a good artist, FYI.
This is shocking to me.
Shocking. So this book just really kind of covers Phil Sheldon learning all about all these different heroes as they come up. First, we get the Human Torch, who we talked about last time. Then we get Namor, who's great. Like it is weird thinking about how Marvel's first three big superheroes are Human Torch and Namor and Captain America, because they're just kind of not what we think of with the Marvel universe these days. Seeing Namor pop up as like this terrorist from the waters who's come to like reclaim everything for his people is really fun to see from a people's point of view of like man on the street, like, oh my god, who is this guy?
Yeah, well, and it's also funny, like going back to 1602, it's funny to think that they were like, could Human Torch or Namor be our forerunner? No, we're not. We're not going to do that. Nope. Even though they technically kick off the Marvel universe. And I even like how like Busiek bakes in this stuff is like, yeah, there were other superheroes like before this, like the Rawhide Kid, but this is like different, guys.
These are like super powered people, not just a fucking cowboy,
right?
Yeah, and also, like those characters from the 12 who I don't remember.
Yeah, but and also like again, this book is going based off of like actual publication history rather than obviously the Two Gun Kid and like Rawhide Kid were not published in the 1800s; they were published in the 70s. So.
The 50s.
And in the 50s, is that true?
Yeah.
I think Busiek basically said that everything was canon in the past. If it took place in Marvel's past and it was before I started reading comics, then it's in. If like they decide to retcon things like after I started reading comics, that is not in Marvel's. It's a really weird like decision he made.
So like the Avengers going back in time in.
Well, and also
cowboy times.
Yeah, and also like little things like, I mean, yeah, we'll get to it. But yeah, so it's Namor and the Human Torch, and they're just like fucking shit up all over town and wrecking everything.
Yeah. And he kind of starts to resent the heroes a little bit, like, how am I supposed to start a family? And like kind of
you can't keep your family safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jameson's like insulting the heroes at like a lunch counter, and then it turns out Human Torch is like right in earshot of them and gets pissed off.
He's on the other side of the panel, which I didn't notice that was Human Torch until like much
later. Food here sucks anyways. I'm out of here.
Well, yeah, that's a very much a Jameson. Like it's already starting. Like these guys make us look like regular Joes. This is bullshit, and it's like it sets him on his path. Like even in the 40s, I love it.
Yeah.
Phil is also, having a hard time with it. He breaks up with his fiance over it. Like it's not like a breakup, but it's like but that's how you feel that I think I should go now. That kind of thing.
And then she starts dating Willie Lumpkin.
Willie,
and he goes to the movies like, "What's this here? What you say?" They're like, I'm dating a mailman.
Yep.
But I guess they break up.
The Fantastic Four is mailman, for those that don't know what we're talking about.
We see this movie theater where they, of course, show the newsreel in front of it, and this newsreel talks about the war effort and how Captain America and Namor and Human Torch have all kind of like teamed up to fight everyone together, and like all of a sudden everyone's just like on their side. Like, these are our boys, great. And Captain America's the star of the whole thing, and you know, Phil's getting a little bit more excited about it. He decides not to go to Europe so that he can stay in America, kind of covering the heroes a little bit.
Which is still at this point just Human Torch. It's kind of weird. I guess other heroes are starting to rise up. But, I mean, it's interesting also because, like, I guess Captain America comics at this time never took place in New York City. So Phil never would have seen him in person.
Right, yeah.
Because Captain America is purely like newsreels and newspapers in this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, you know, makes sense to me. It's interesting to see it from their point of view because it gives them more reason to, like, idolize Captain America. And it's like he's this mystical hero that we haven't actually gotten a chance to lay our eyes on, but he's our best hero. You know?
Right, and they hear, like, I hear that Human Torch did this, or I heard that Namor did this, and they're like, God, this is like an Orson Welles War of the Worlds thing. You're just, like, spouting conspiracy theories. None of this is true. Which I like in a smaller world, like, could possibly be accurate, which is funny.
But it's also like because they have seen Namor and Human Torch, and now they are connected to Captain America. It like connects them to Captain America in a way as well, which is a nice little kind of like everyone just like in this town in New York, in this town of New York, they just instantly are behind them.
Well, I also like but Phil is like. They wrecked shit all over New York City, like caused a lot of damage to Human Torch and Namor fighting, and then like they shake hands and put aside their differences. And there's a really good like quote in the middle of it is like, you know, it's like no harm, no foul, except for like all the people that were hurt in this town. Like, you know, there were no reprisals, nobody got hurt but the normal people. And I'm like, this in another story, this is the beginning of like a Lex Luthor type. Or like a people's rebellion against like the ruling class, you know, like this is how this begins. Like these guys can just like fight and destroy all of our property and like hurt civilians and then they shake hands. Like everybody's like, okay, cool, rah rah rah. But it even feels like I got caught up in it still.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. My favorite quote in this whole thing is when, you know, Phil's relaxing, he's out at a club with his lady, and they stop the music, and an announcer gets on the mic, and he says, I'm going to read this. I've been asked to tell you the Submariner has apparently launched a military attack on all of civilization. I like that moment a lot, and I want that guy's part. Great.
I love it.
So I mean, this is also good. It's like, wait a minute, I thought we knew Namor. What's going on here? And then later, it's like, okay, everything got made up a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, Phil is like, yeah, if you're very much on the ground, like, wait a second, is Sabretooth a good or a bad guy now? I'm pretty sure Sandman's good now. I don't know.
So Phil is like, I'm rushing into the action. I'm gonna get some photographs of everything. I'm gonna like get right up close. Definitely some great panels of the week, I think, around it. So this, I realize it's going to be tough reading Marvels because all my panels of the week are just going to be Alex Ross, because how do you beat Alex Ross? Yeah, that big old shot of New York with the waves coming in and Human Torch flying over it. Damn, that's such a cool 2-page spread right there.
It's really cool. It's also actually really happened in the comics.
Yes, that's like issue like 4 or 5. It's
Human Torch number 5, but the second Human Torch number 5 because they messed up and they're 2 months in a row of Human Torch number 5.
That's another reason I love this series. It's also just like, hey, all these great classic moments through Marvel history. Let's just imagine if Alex Ross painted them. Great,
right? And they do a really good job of like having in the back of people's pockets like the Life magazine of the month that issue would have appeared in. So they date it even in the book, which is really cool. Like if you were like trying to be like, okay, when was that? So you can figure out like the timeline of this book, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's also, Daily Bugle has very frequently been sort of a parallel for Marvel Comics, but it's like very obvious here where it's like Mr. Goodman, who's supposed to be Martin Goodman. the publisher of Marvel Comics in the Silver Age. So like it's very much on the nose of like, oh, you want a future in this, publishing business. Like in reality, he did hire his, I think, what was it, his nephew-in-law, his son-in-law, Stan Lee, to write Captain America comics in like 1944 or 5. And so, yeah, they were like not a major comic company, but it's it's very obvious that they're like tying Marvel's history into, kind of American history with some of these characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So by the time we get to the end of this comic, Phil decides he is going to go to Europe. He's going to try and be like a real hero covering the war over there. And we see like these shots of all the other heroes from the time that I really like. I cannot remember at all.
Again, we'll have to read the 12 one of these times. A book I don't really like.
The 12?
Yes, J. Michael Straczynski, and I think Alex Ross did the covers. But it's basically like 12 lost Marvel Golden Age heroes come back, and they have to figure out like how they fit into a society that they've left for 75 years.
That's different than the Spider-Man the animated series with like the 6 forgotten heroes, like the Wizard and Captain America.
I mean, it's basically the same plot. But...
yeah. I didn't mention Phil does lose his eye while he's like going up and kind of getting up close with Human Torch and Namor, and he uses that to get married. I guess he's like, "Hey, now you got to marry me because I lost an eye."
I mean, she wanted to marry him.
That's true. They just had that little spat, but it brings them together.
Yeah,
and J. Jonah Jameson is hanging out smoking, and he's like, I'd say he's recovered.
Also, I guess Nick Fury must be his neighbor because he's also there as like a very young man. Like, oh, I'm going to join World War II. This is exciting. Which it seems a little off on the timeline because I thought he was already like a colonel.
Yeah, because wasn't him and his Howling Commandos? Like he was running the show pretty quickly at that point, right?
Yeah,
he had like a whole team.
Yeah, he has like a whole crew by the time of the end of the war for him to have all the like invaders adventures, and then he takes the Infinity Formula that freezes his age at like 45.
Right.
Good for him. Good for Nick Fury. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of heroes here, like parachuting in at the end that I don't know. One looks like Martian Manhunter.
So that's actually the original Vision, who I don't know who that is. So it's actually from like left to right. It's Bucky and Captain America, Submariner, the original Vision, the Destroyer, Black Widow original, Thunderer, Blazing Skull, Black Marvel, and the Human Torch and Toro. And Toro was like an extra tiny one, which again. And I like reading all these histories. Originally, technically, the name Invaders wasn't established until the late 60s. So they were not called the Invaders.
That's like a Roy Thomas thing, isn't it?
It's Avengers 69 or 7. No, Avengers 71 in 1969, I believe. And then they had like giant size Avengers or giant size Invaders in 1975. But that was the first time they were ever called that. And these people these heroes didn't even fight together on the war front, like during the actual war, like because All Winners comics didn't show up until like 46. So this is them trying to retcon this, like the kind of Invaders concept without ever calling them the Invaders. And then they would all appear in a comic book together, all these heroes. Like there'd be like a big magazine format issue that would have, short stories from all these different characters. So that's trying to demonstrate all these different ones that would appear in a comic together.
I see.
Which is very cool. Like the thing is this is like my backbone of my history of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
When we're talking 40s Marvel, like it's
this
mostly
is all I know.
This is all I know, and then like Brubaker flashbacks to the 40s from his like early Captain America. Like the Winter Soldier stuff before Bucky became the Winter Soldier, like those flashbacks, and then like Ultimates #1, like that's the extent of my Marvel 40s experience.
What if Kurt Busiek has lied to us and the 40s were nothing like this?
Yeah, The 40s comics? Yeah. What if that is a lie? I mean, this feels like, I haven't read that much Astro City, but Chris, does this feel a lot like Astro City? Like the Phil Sheldon stuff, like looking up the heroes, it's just with heroes that we know?
Yeah, I mean, did we do that one half story about the guy who forgets about his wife? But yeah, there's plenty of Astro Cities stories that are more about heroes, but there's also plenty that are like the normal person's point of view where they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think like no matter which stories it is, it feels grounded, not just like because of Kurt Busiek's storytelling, but also the way Alex Ross draws everything. It like feels like real people.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah.
So if you like this, I would, we're not doing our conclusions, but check out Astro City, check out Gotham Central.
I would say check out Marvel's issue number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a trade paperback with all of these. You can buy
really?
it at your local bookstore.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So we should talk about what we're doing next time. Of course, we're going to keep doing Marvel's number 2. We're also December, Christmas time. We're doing some Scrooge McDuck. We haven't done him in a while. We are reading.
Well, we haven't done any Scrooge McDuck. We did Donald Duck.
Oh,
Lost in the Andes.
You're right. Okay, so we're doing Christmas on Bear Mountain from 1946, the first appearance of Scrooge McDuck. And then we are doing A Christmas for Shacktown, which is Christmas 51. The issue is dated January 52, because that's how stuff gets dated, And we are reading both of those Christmas stories along with Marvel's number 2. Both of those stories written by Carl Barks, who I think he also wrote the Donald Duck stuff that we read, right?
Yes, he did.
Whatever. Yeah, he pretty much wrote every Duck comic that is important, except
he was
for
the good Duck artist. Technically, these are Dell Comics 4-color comics, number 178 and like 352. I wouldn't go through your half-price books and try to find those specific issues. I would just look for the stories Christmas for Shacktown and Christmas on Bear Mountain.
Yeah, you can find them online. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's some Fantagraphics collections of just like all the Donald Duck comics by Carl Barks that are really nice hardcovers. You could also find those there, but that's closer to $50 for both of these. But we're just reading these single issues. There's a lot more in the collections.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I like ducks.
Did you ever watch the new DuckTales series yet, Kia?
I tried the first episode and I had some problems.
The first episode's a little weak.
Well, there's with cartoons, I need a lot of like good music direction, a lot of background animation. Something felt off with it to me, and I just couldn't get into it.
Its pacing was very off on that first episode. I think it takes a little while to get going, but I mean, I just jumped into like episode 7 of season 2, and then worked my way backwards from there. Whatever happened to Della Duck was the episode.
I don't know that I'll ever get into it, but I'll keep that in mind.
Chris, I know you have Disney Plus, so.
I do, yes.
I did watch the new Primal show. Have y'all seen that?
No, what's that?
Gendy Tartakovsky from Samurai Jack. He created a new show that's even less dialogue. It's just all silent action with a caveman kind of thing.
What's that on?
I don't know. The internet?
Cool. The internet.
Yeah.
The internet at theinternet.com.
Yeah. It's just called Primal. I don't know how many episodes there are. I just watched the first one, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm a big Samurai Jack fan. So it's really just like more Samurai Jack. So, yeah.
Gotta get back.
Yep. Although, you know what? I never saw that new season of Samurai Jack that came out. Maybe I should do that. Whatever. All right. Chris, do you have any final thoughts? What is your Stupid Minds doing? All that. Wrap it up.
Sure. Marvel's number 1, good. Art, good. Writing, good. Your Stupid Minds. I will eventually have a new episode. You can check out our post-Halloween episode. Came out in November. I also guest appearanced on another podcast where I am talking about the film Ice Cream Man, which you can find on the Your Stupid Minds Twitter. The link to that. Talking about a movie that features Clint Howard and not a whole lot else.
Great. Just a whole 2 hours of Clint Howard. Great.
Yep. Just what you wanted. He murders a lot of people.
Cool. All right. I think we've covered everything here. Yeah, Vince. For Vince, I love you.
I love you too.
Chris. I love you.
Sorry, I'm losing you. Your mic's cutting out.
And I'm Kia. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. See you next time. Bye.